So we're going to be talking about some different piping tips and different styles of piping tips. They all create different looks on the cupcakes. So we have this large swirl that we're going to be showing you today. It's a lot of different types of piping tips. So we got some that create like little flowers, and then we have that one makes little flowers. Can you see it? And we have even tinier ones, but they have sort of the same design. Then we have some for like rose petals. Can you see that one? And we have these bigger ones. So these three are all the same, but they're three different sizes. So they'll make three different, not three different looks, but depending on the size of whatever you're making, you can have three different things. So say for instance, if I was doing a cookie or something on a cookie, I might use this with royal icing. Or if I'm doing a cupcake, I might use this. It's the same tip, but it's smaller. And then if I was using a cake, I might use this. Or I can do the same look with three different types of piping tips. And then this one with the slit on the side right here is like for when you make ruffles on, like, you ever seen those people make the cupcakes that look like princess dresses, and they use this tip to make like that ruffle effect. So we just gonna use a couple different piping tips today so I can show you guys some different designs. So this is the buttercream that we're going to be using. This is some I used to make some mint chocolate chip cupcakes. So the first tip that I want to give you guys is if you are going to be using multiple colors of cupcakes, you want to have multiple colors of frosting. Not cupcakes. I use these tipless bags. You can just cut the tip off the end. So I have one that's like an 18-inch, and then I have some that are 12-inch. And so we want to put the frosting. I guess you can't really tell the difference because it's clear, but one is shorter than the other one. So we're going to put the frosting in the smaller one, and we're going to put the piping tip in the larger one so that we can make different designs. I'm going to use these two piping tips. So you just want to put it in there. And we're basically using this to see where to cut the bag at. So you want to cut the bag right where the design starts at on the piping tip. And I just go around it with a pair of scissors like that, and then it'll cut it. Or you can push it up and you can cut it straight across. But that way you'll know that your piping tip fits. And so now it's outside of the bag. And since my buttercream is already in this Ziploc bag, I'm just going to cut the end off the Ziploc bag and squeeze it into my piping bag. And if you don't have piping bags at home, you can do the same technique with a Ziploc bag. So you would just take one Ziploc bag that doesn't have anything in it, and you will put in the piping tip, And then you put the other one right into it. That's what I did before I had piping bags. Hi. Let's see. Got one more, 2 people in here. Hello. And then we're just going to take this, and this is our smaller bag, and we're just going to fill it up with frosting. And so you see how this frosting didn't reach to the bottom of the bag? I take it and like spin it in a circle like this. I know it probably looks funny, but when you do that, the frosting starts to go to the bottom of the bag, and you won't have any big air bubbles when you go to pipe the frosting. And take the tip of this bag, and you're going to cut it. And then slide it into the other bag. Simple. And this way we can do this instead of using like a coupler. Or you can use a coupler. Let me go grab one so you can see what it is. Alright, so here are some different size couplers. So say for instance, if you didn't want to do the 2 bag method, you can take this coupler and you unscrew the ring, and the piping tip fits right on top of here. And then you would screw the ring back on. So if you want to attach this to a bag, you would take this apart, grab your piping bag that you're going to use, and you're going to do the same thing. You're just going to cut the tip of it off. So that the coupler can fit through there. You can take it, you can drop it in the top. Obviously I didn't cut it enough. But we're going to do the same thing with our scissors around that first ring. And pull it off. Now we can use different piping tips on here as well. And if this works really good if you're working with different colors of frosting. And then you can also take this frosting out of this bag. And say you wanted to do the same thing but in different colors. So now you can put it in the other one. So we're going to use the larger piping tip. So you slide it in there into the bag, and then for frosting, you might get an Oreo stuck in it. So we're going to go I'm going to go grab a toothpick so that I can get the cookie out of the pipe. So if you get a cookie stuck in it, a chunk of cookie stuck in there, get it out with a toothpick. When I do these, like this particular type of cupcake, I try to use like the open tips because it's easier, which is what I said I was going to do. So let me show you what that was. So this piping tip is a little bit bigger, so we're just gonna cut the bag a little bit more. If you want it to be right at the end of the design, And when you squeeze it, it's gonna stretch it out in the bag. And that one came out much smoother than the first one. And then when you are using the piping bag, you want to make sure you squeeze from the top. You always make such pretty treats. Thank you, Kayla. You want to make sure you squeeze from back here, and I always twist my piping bag so that it doesn't ooze back up out of the top. So you can do different designs. You ever see people do like those? You hold the piping bag straight up and you apply some pressure and then you pull up. And people normally when you do piping, you want to pipe things in groups of odd numbers to make them like look pretty. So if you seen like that design on cakes, a lot of people do that and they do different colors. And this is really good because like you can do it like on the side of the cake, or you can do it on top of the cake. You can do another rope border like that. We can use as many piping tips as we want to. You can do this design, and you can practice on your turntable. Just pretend like it's a cake. You just want to make sure you have the same amount of pressure, and then that'll make your. Why do odd numbers? Just because it makes it look more like it makes the design look better. I don't really know, but when I do like say if I did like 6, it always looks strange. But if you do it in odd numbers, like 3 of these, it's like it fills in and then it just looks like more prettier when you do odd numbers. To me, maybe to you, it might look funnier. Which one looks better? The one with the 3 or the one with the 6? I always feel like with odd numbers, it looks better. Alright, we're going to get some more frosting in here. And then if you're practicing piping at home and you don't have like buttercream left over that you want to use, another good trick is you can use like mashed potatoes. If you just make up like a batch of mashed potatoes, it's kind of like around the same consistency as the buttercream. So that's easier and cheaper to practice with. But like I said, I had this left over from an event that I did. And you just want to take your fingers and pull that excess frosting down like this so that you can use it on your cake. Now you gotta remember, because we just put more frosting in here, it's gonna do like a splat thing. And it's called like, I guess it's like I heard the example like burping a baby. So it's gonna make like, if you ever put new frosting in your bag and just start piping, it normally makes like a sound because well, you probably didn't hear, but it's an air gap in the bag every time you add more frosting, unless the frosting is completely gone. So if you don't want it to make like that poof sound that it made, you want to make sure all of the frosting is out of the bag before you add more, or before you put it on your cake. You want to get the air bubble out of the bag. And so you can also use just the regular bag without the tips. And you can do different designs with that too. But the trick is to just try to use even pressure when you're piping and just keep practicing. You can do like dots. Have you ever seen some people do it? They have like a palette knife and then they make a dot and then they scrape it, make the dot of icing, and then they do like that. And then they make another dot. And you just want to try to make the dots even. Then you use this, it's like circular, so it'll represent a cake if you are doing cakes. And just do a simple border. You really want to focus on the pressure when you're piping, and try to have even pressure, because that's how you get your design to look even. So practice on the pressure, and then you can do something circular. You can even use a plate. And then just keep going. And then you can start to make them go to the left, go to the right. And just keep practicing. I honestly didn't know they would use 2 bags. It always looked like 1 bag when I'm watching videos. So this is just one method that you can use. Like I showed the other one, some people use a coupler, and so this is 1 bag. I just find that it's easier for me to use 2 because I don't want to keep washing out the piping tip if I want to use a different color. So that's just why I choose to use 2 bags. But other people might very well use 1 bag. But that is just my preference. Say for instance, have you ever seen people do the cakes and the cake will be all 1 color? I'm trying to read the comments. The cake will be all 1 color, but it'll have different designs on it. If I'm doing that, I don't want to have to keep washing out the piping bag every time. But for some people, that might be easier. It just depends on who you are and what you are doing, what type of cake you're making, or what kind of design you're doing. So you can use a coupler, or you can use 2 bags, like I did with this one. Or you can even, if you don't have piping bags, you can use Ziploc bags, which is what I use to store my frosting in. Grace, I use the 2 bags as well. It makes life so much easier. It do make life so much easier. My daughter wants to learn how to decorate cakes. Do you recommend any classes? Well, she can always learn from me. I don't have like physical classes as of right now, but we can always set it up where we go on a Zoom or on Facebook. I'll be doing this, and then she can keep learning that way. But I learned a lot of things from just going on YouTube. You basically just gotta know like what to search for, and then just keep practicing if you wanna learn. So you can just do. Remember, it's all about the pressure when you're piping. So sometimes you might want to sit the piping tip like directly on the board and then squeeze, and that'll give you one look. And some people might take like a little dragée or something and put it directly in there, or you can lift up and you can make them go bigger and bigger. Just keep practicing. And remember too, if you mess up, you can always just, the thing is, if you mess up on like a real cake, you want to put it in the refrigerator and let it kind of get hard for 5 or 10 minutes, and then just scrape it off. You can always scrape off the frosting. You just want to make sure that it's like hardened before you try to scrape it off, or else you can accidentally like put a dent into the actual cake. And then we can talk about like decorating whole cakes too, probably at another time. But when you decorate a whole cake, you know, you have like a layer of buttercream, like the crumb coat layer, and then some people put another layer with the actual color of the frosting for the design. And then that's what you don't want to like push the palette knife into, is the actual design. And just try to keep your hand as steady as possible and make sure you keep the frosting going down. So I do that by twisting the bag. And then you can just have a bunch of different designs. You can do the one like I showed earlier with the palette knife. You can also do that with this type of design too. All kinds of different tips and tricks that you can do. I hope you guys learned something today.